Alright, what's going on guys? Gino checking back here for another video today, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the different kinds of rep ranges, which rep ranges are optimal, and when should you use what kind of rep range. Now I know that there's a lot of controversy on what kind of rep ranges certain people should use in certain situations. Like for example, should I use a 5x5, should I do a 3x10, should I do 4x8? You know, there's a lot of difference between those kind of rep ranges and in what situation you should use that rep range. So in this video I'm going to be discussing what you should take into consideration and take into account when you decide what kind of rep range you're going to be using for your training program or your programming. So to start off, let's go over the types of muscle fibers. Now you have three types of muscle fibers. You have type 1, which is the slow twitch muscle fibers. You have type 2A and type 2B. Now the difference between those muscle fibers is dependent on the color, the speed, the amount of force they can deliver, the energy source, and so forth. Now on average, every human being has about a 50-50 split between each of the muscle fibers. Now of course type 2 is a mix between type 2A and type 2B, so let's just call it a even, type 2. So you have type 1 and type 2, and there's pretty much a 50-50 split between those two muscle fibers in every individual on average. Alright, so muscle fiber type 1 is the muscle fiber that is mostly used when you're either walking or jogging. Now since it only uses oxygen as an energy source, it delivers slow speed and a low amount of force when contracting. For us people who like to weight lift, this is not really a type of muscle fiber we need to worry about. Now this muscle fiber type is highly resistant against fatigue, since you can pretty much walk or jog for a long period of time without fatiguing too fast. So in contrast to the other types of muscle fibers, this is not really for us. Now then you have muscle fiber type 2A, which uses glucose and oxygen as an energy source. That means that some of the carbs that you're eating will be used, as an energy source for this muscle type, which makes it easier to generate more force, speed, a quicker contraction, and it is a little bit less resistance against fatigue. Now this muscle fiber type is pretty much more important for the people who swim, go on a mile run, people who cycle, and so forth. Now then comes muscle fiber type 2B, which is more important for us who like to build muscle mass and get stronger in the gym. Now type 2B uses glycogen as an energy source, which is pretty common since the carbs that you're eating will be eventually converted to glucose and then to glycogen in the human body, which is kind of like the energy source that you have inside your muscles to generate the most amount of force. It is the fastest twitch speed in the human body, but it's also the muscle fiber type that fatigues the quickest. Like I said, this is the muscle fiber type that gets used the most when you're either weightlifting, resistance training, or sprinting, when you want to generate a lot of force in a short amount of time. Now despite that I said that there is a 50-50 mix between those muscle fibers, it is also hugely dependent on your genetics. Like some people just have more type 2B fibers, which they can probably use to build a lot more muscle mass than someone who has more type 1 muscle fibers. Alright, so now that we have the muscle fiber types down, I would like to go over the certain rep ranges, which is highly individual dependent on the goal that you have inside of the gym. Now there are three types of rep ranges that I would like to cover. You have strength rep ranges, hypertrophy rep ranges, and endurance rep ranges. Now in terms of muscle building, I will first cover hypertrophy. Now if you want to build muscle mass, it's really important to focus on the hypertrophy rep range, which is somewhere in the range of 6 to 12 to 15 rep range. Now what happens when you focus on the hypertrophy rep range is you will create myofibrillar hypertrophy, which means that the muscle that you're training will break down, and with the help of your nutrition and the amount of protein that you eat, it will repair the muscle damage and it will build up onto the amount that you've broken them down. And then you have the strength rep range, which falls into the 1 to 5 rep range. With the 1 to 5 rep range, the strength rep range, you will also create some myofibrillar hypertrophy, but not as optimally and maximally as in the hypertrophy rep range. That's also why you see a lot of strength athletes or powerlifters not carrying a lot of muscle mass simply because they don't train in the hypertrophy rep range all that often, since their main goal is to increase their strength. And then you have the endurance rep range, which falls into the 15 to 20 plus rep range. Now this rep range is most often used to, like the name already says, the muscular endurance of the muscle, so being able to use it for longer without fatiguing. Now this rep range is really important for people who are highly into endurance sports, which basically means that they will train their muscles in a higher rep range so that they don't fatigue too often on, say for example, while running a marathon or cycling and so forth. Now even though I said that in the strength rep range you won't see too much myofibrillar hypertrophy, there is still a lot of muscles in your body that might respond better, or actually do respond better, to a high weight, low rep approach. Now let's look at the compound movements. You will often see people using either a 5x5 approach on say for example the bench press or the squat, which is because those movements respond really well to a high weight, low rep approach. And by getting stronger in those compound movements, it will also contribute to the accessory movements that you do after the compound movements. So say for example, if you get stronger in the squat in the 5 rep range, your leg press will also get stronger in the 10 to 15 rep range. It all adds up. Now my general recommendation is, if you want to focus on strength, then focus on using it on the compound movements, since it makes it a little bit less prone to injury. Now let's just take a tricep extension for example. It would not really be a smart idea to do that in a 5 rep range with a really heavy weight, since there are a lot of injury prone joints involved in that movement. Now for the hypertrophy rep ranges, it's really important to focus on the accessory movements. Say for example, the bench press is a compound movement, so the incline dumbbell press would be called an accessory movement. Since the compound movements are somewhat seen as the main movements of every training, all the other surrounding exercises are called accessory movements. So you can better do them in the 12 to 15 rep range, or the 6 to 15 rep range, so somewhere in that range. Now for the endurance rep range, it's pretty much the same principle as the hypertrophy rep range, but you simply do them in a higher rep range. So say for example on the side lateral raise, you would do them in the 15 to 20 plus rep range instead of the 6 to 15 rep range. But that all comes down to your personal goal inside of the gym. Now my general recommendation actually is to follow all of these 3 rep ranges into your routine. So say for example on a push day, you have your bench press, which you would do in the 1 to 5 rep range, focusing on increasing the strength that you have on that movement. Then for the incline dumbbell press and all the accessory movements, like for example the incline dumbbell press and the shoulder press, you would do it in the 6 to 15 rep range. And then you have a side lateral raise and a tricep extension, which you could potentially do for some sets in the 15 to 20 plus rep range. So by doing all of these 3 rep ranges will lead to a bigger and stronger muscle for maximum muscular gains. Alright, and that is all for this video guys. I hope you all enjoyed. Be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments down below, since I'm really curious to see what you guys are doing in your current training. Please be sure to smash that like button, because it really helps out the channel grow. Comment down below, subscribe to the channel for so much more content coming really soon. I'm out guys, and peace out. See you in the next one.